We develop technologies to capture CO₂ point source, which means directly from the point of emission. We're doing a pretty good job at decarbonizing mobility, but the products that are being sold are still made using very polluting processes. We started the work with a couple of universities on different strands of technologies. We developed systems that are now scaled up to go to demo commercial stage. I really wanted to do something outside, so beyond recycling at home or doing my little bit at the company, but creating a platform to do outsized impact. You really need to find the right investors who are really looking, on one hand, from a long-term perspective, but also see the impact that you're trying to make. We're building our first commercial unit in Rotterdam, to be located in Rotterdam. One of the things that has turned out to be really important is to make sure that there's a win-win for everyone. It's been a learning for us to look from outside in rather than inside out, to really understand, who are all these different people with decarbonization agendas.
Welcome back to another episode of the Startup Passport by Econsulate. Today we're joined by Yong Toh. Thank you very much for joining. You are the founder of AeroBorn.
Yes, that's correct.
Can you tell us a little bit about what AeroBorn does?
AeroBorn is a carbon capture and utilization technology company. And what we do is we develop technologies to capture CO₂ point source, which means directly from the point of emission, so industrial smokestacks. And we take the flue gas, from the flue gas we take out the CO₂, and we smash the CO₂ in pieces, and we take the carbon, and we create stuff for batteries from it.
And how did you initially come up with a company? Because when somebody looks at your background, also see that you have been working not directly, but also in a sense doing stuff for big companies. Nike, for example, I think is one that's mentioned.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, Nike was we were working on a project for Nike a long time ago to look at how can we create more sustainable shoes, and one of the routes was, hey, can we make shoes of carbon? So that was one point of inspiration. The other point of inspiration was working for Tesla also for a while, and then we thought, or I thought we're doing a pretty good job at decarbonizing mobility, but the products that are being sold are still made using very polluting processes. If you look at the battery, or if you look at the carrosseries of the cars, can that be done in a different way? So that sort of sparked a years-long search and research on, what are the developments in the space of trying to capture CO₂ and turn it into products, and how can we play a role in that? So how can we push innovation so that it gets to commercialization phase? So we started the work with a couple of universities on different strands of technologies, and currently we have partnered with the Bournemouth University in the UK, and we developed systems that are now scaled up to go to demo commercial stage.
And when you were working with the companies that you just mentioned, Nike, Tesla, were you already self-employed or were you already an entrepreneur then, or did that already or only occur after?
No, that happened afterwards. So we're doing a lot of investigations within these companies, but ultimately, if that type of innovation doesn't happen, enough within these companies, that sort of got me to look at, hey, how can we set this up ourselves? How can we be our own motor for change?
And how was the process back then? Because I can imagine if you were working at a company, then you have all these benefits of working for a company in terms of security, financial security. You have your day-to-day task, but then even if you have the vision of something that you want to do, there's still all of the other business aspects that also come in. So how was the process for you, or the consideration maybe also in your head? Should I even start the company myself?
Oh yeah, I mean, it was I've got two kids, and each day, you're trying to do a little bit better, and I really wanted to do something, outside, so beyond recycling at home or doing my little bit at the company, but creating, a platform to do outsized impact, and yeah, that requires taking some risks. Working for companies is great, because you are already part of a mission. But I felt that something else was needed. So yeah, we took a lot of risk, but we were helped by initially by the Rabobank providing innovation loans. Then there were subsidies, and then there were small investors, and then larger investors. So we took the path, but we um, uh, yeah, we're very mission driven. We wanted to make stuff happen, and we found a route through grants and funding to get to this point.
And how much did your network that you build up while working for those companies help? You mentioned, for example, well, the investments that you got. Were those also partially were you only able to get them because of the connections that you already had, or was that really based on, well, you had the company, you had the idea, and then you approach people with that idea?
Yeah, the latter. To be honest, yeah, of course you meet a lot of people from corporations, but these are not immediately corporate investors or private investors. So we really need to go through the normal path of grants, funding, and bigger funding. But that was yeah, sometimes it's not as easy, for deep tech, because it's a higher capex than the software, for instance. So you really need to find the right investors who are really looking, on one hand from a long-term perspective, but also see the impact that you're trying to make. And for us, we have a carbon capture and utilization model where we create not only impact, but we also create monetary value by the products that we deliver. So making sure that people understand what you're doing, and because normally, it's very much focused on just impact. If it's just capture, the utilization space is relatively new, so we really need to educate that, oh, you can also create value in this decarbonization process.
And where's AeroBorn right now in terms of growth, let's say, and in terms of its mission?
Yeah, I mean, industrial change takes time. So where we are at after 5 years is we're at a stage where we have developed a system that is now ready for commercial scaling. So we're building our first commercial unit in Rotterdam, to be located in Rotterdam, and we first start with 1 kiloton of CO2 processing on an annual basis, and we're gonna quickly grow that to 10 kilotons of CO2 processing, and then go to a commercial scale, which is 5 to 10 times larger.
And to end on a little bit of a personal note, maybe, now that you have been working on your own company and for big corporates also before on project-based work, let's say, is there any advice that you would give to your younger self, maybe when you're about to start the company? Any learning that you had now where you feel like, yeah, that's good, maybe also for entrepreneurs, so sometimes young entrepreneurs to have at the back of their head?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I mean, we're constantly learning. So one of the things that has turned out to be really important is to make sure that there's a win-win for everyone, right? So initially, when we started, we very much about, hey, the world needs to decarbonize. We need to do it fast, and there's a pathway here, and we can create value. But um, it's been a learning for us to look from outside in rather than inside out, to really understand, who are all these different people with decarbonization agendas. It's not only decarbonization, but they have a whole their own machine of inputs and outputs that they're dealing with. So how can we, at a very early stage, make sure that we match their needs, apart from just decarbonization, in a better way? It allows for a much clearer and better conversation. So that took a little bit of time, but yeah, we're getting there.
Thank you very much for sharing that, and especially also for all of the well, on your path and all of the other information on AeroBorn, and for joining the podcast.
Thank you so much. Pleasure.